Hey, and welcome to Dr. G Speaks. I am Dr. Kristen Guillory, and I am so very excited to help you experience a life of freedom, faith, and fun you may not even realize is possible. Listen, I know you feel held back, I know you feel stuck, and I know you are hiding. As a coach and the author of Look, Stop Hiding, How to Find Your Voice and Never Dim Your Light Again, you will get to listen to some amazing stories, receive some homework, that's the professor in me, and get some tools to help you live the life you deserve. It's time to quiet the noise and walk in the fullness of who God created you to be. It's time to stop hiding and start thriving. Together, we'll uncover your potential and ignite your journey to a fulfilling life, a life of freedom. Can you relate to me in that sometimes it is difficult and uncomfortable to wait for news or result or outcomes or somebody to respond to you? That it's sometimes a little difficult to wait. Yes, that is difficult for me in certain situations. It's better today, but because I am someone who likes to be in control. I am surrendering control, but someone who likes to be in control and timetables, and I want to know what's going on immediately. Waiting has sometimes been difficult for me. In the spring of 2015, I was invited to train about 100 or so staff at an organization. A few days prior, I had just increased my training fees with some encouragement from my dad. So I was talking to the director about all the details. They were excited. It was going to be 3.5 hour, very interactive training. Okay. If you know me, we dance. There's connection, there are tears, there's laughter. It's a whole experience. Okay. It's a whole experience. And I let them know my fee. I emailed them. We had the conversation. I put everything, also in writing. And here's the fee. Emailed them on Tuesday and they said, we're going to take this to the board. They'll have to approve the fee and we'll get back to you. Thank you so much. And I hit send and I'm like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe I just charged that amount. It was 3 times what I used to charge. I'm like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe I just charged that amount. So that was Tuesday. And I believe they said that the board was meeting that day. So I was like, boom, I'm going to hear back from them on Wednesday. Perfect. It's Wednesday. I'm checking my email like all day, morning, afternoon. We get to 5 and 6 p.m. and I don't hear anything. And I start to worry. I start to think I should not have charged that amount. I should not have done it. It's too much. They're not going to pay me that. I should not have charged that amount. Oh no. We get to Thursday and I don't hear anything. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I would have rather have my original fee than them see this number and go with somebody else. Now it's Thursday afternoon, Thursday evening, and I am not good. I'm not good. This was about 8 months after I left my professor position. So money wasn't the greatest. And I was using my savings and other accounts, and they were all decreasing. And my brother in law saw me. I was in Atlanta visiting my sister, brother in law, and nephews. And my brother in law said, sis, what's wrong? What's going on? And I said, oh, this organization reached out to me. They want me to lead a training. And I think I charged too much. I haven't heard back from them. I think I charged too much. He said, well, first of all, they're the ones who reached out to you. And if that is true, they'll negotiate. And then he says, sis, you deserve way more than that. Do you know who you are? You are Dr. Kristen Guillory. You have a PhD. You have all this experience. And in my mind, I was like, oh, thank you so much. But yeah. I need a check. I need a check. And Friday, I'm now flying home. I'm flying from Atlanta back to Dallas, and I'm still worried. I just was like, okay, well, I didn't get it. They went with somebody else. I should have just charged my little amount because I thought I was going to hear back on Wednesday, and it's now Friday. So I'm on the plane and I land and I am walking outside to catch my ride. And I happen to check my email and it says, Dr. Gilly, forgive our delay. We've had a few things going on here. If this is your fee, yes, we'll pay it. You have what we need, and we are excited to have you. Listen, y'all, I am not an overly excitable person, but I think I said, I think I screamed in the airport. And I look back at that. While I'm so grateful for the opportunity, I did not trust God in the waiting. I did not trust God in the stillness. I began creating stories and narratives in my mind, not based on any facts, based on my fear, based on scarcity, based on desperation, based on wanting to be in control. About a year ago, I had to get some medical tests. And I remember thinking, okay, I hope everything turns out okay. And I remember while I was waiting for the results, I heard the Lord say, "You're fine." I heard him say it, "You're fine." And peace came over me. Peace came over my body. I heard him say, "You're fine." Even though I heard him say that, I still started thinking, well, if this happens, and a worst case scenario, I started coming up with all these things, even though he said, "You're fine." I was so worried while I was waiting. I wasn't trusting while I was waiting. Well, I get the results 3 days later, and guess what? I'm fine. And that time, it was probably 60% worry and then 40% trust. I was trying to trust. I was really, really trying to trust. There's a young man that I met recently at a gym that I attend, and he was saying that he's grateful for his job and he knows he deserves more. So he's in a difficult season. He's in a place where I'm grateful for this and I know there's more. And we talked about that. We talked about the and ministry. You can be grateful and know you deserve more and to trust God in the waiting. Trust that God has a reason that you are currently connected at this job. And there may be things you learn, people you meet that you might not have met in the next that you need to meet them now for the next. And it was a great conversation. And I've been in that place. I've been in a place as someone who likes to be in control, someone who likes to know, of really trying to trust. And I have learned very often it's not necessarily about that outcome, it's about trust. It wasn't about the payment for the job, it wasn't about the test results, it was about trusting God. It's not about this young man's job, it's about trusting God and not creating scenarios in your mind and stories in your mind. Just recently, like literally just in the last couple of weeks, I sent a really long email to a colleague with things that we needed to address around blind spots and behavior and outcomes. And I'm not anybody who runs away from needing to address things and sharing constructive feedback. And this was something that I knew I was going to point out some things that the person might not have known. At the end of it, I requested a phone chat. Normally, I have the phone chat as I request, but because I know this person's processing, I know that it's beneficial for them to read it first and then we talk. So this person normally responds to messages within 24 hours at the latest. At the latest. I'm like, great. I'm sending the message on Monday. If I don't hear back from them today, I'm absolutely going to hear back on Tuesday. So when I didn't hear back Tuesday morning, Tuesday afternoon, I thought, okay, maybe they're busy. It's all good. I know I'll hear back. Wednesday, I don't hear back. And I begin thinking, uh-oh, I hope they weren't offended. I hope that this did not cause them to experience guilt or shame. Oh no. Then I began thinking, well, I hope this is not them ghosting me. Okay. So just all these different thoughts. And the difference here is I was seeking God more than probably previous situations of waiting. Okay, God, I know that you're going to show what's going on. I know that there's a reason. I know. So, God, I trust you in the waiting. I trust you in the stillness. Even though, just in truth, y'all, it was uncomfortable because this person had never taken this long to respond to a message from me, but specifically a message where we needed to address some pretty serious things. So I was saying over and over, God, I trust you in the waiting. I trust you in the stillness. And a few stories and narratives tried to creep in. And with that, I said, no, I trust you in the waiting. I trust you in the stillness. And I have learned about me. I've learned about me that anytime it is my own thoughts or the enemy trying to get in, the feeling always feels heavy and uneasy. Like there's a heaviness, there's an intense discomfort. For me, when it's the Lord telling me to do something, while I might be a little uneasy, there's always lightness. There's always lightness for me. So when I was having these heavy, uneasy moments, I'm like, no, Lord, that's not you. That's me. That's the enemy trying to get in to have me create narratives and have me not wait. I need to wait in the stillness. I need to trust in the stillness. I need to trust in the waiting. And so then we get to probably the fourth day and I'm not hearing. So now I begin to get worried. Okay, are they okay? What's going on? And I reach out to find out. They said, no, I'm good. I said, okay, I was worried about you. Did you get my message on Monday? They said, oh no, let me go check. No, I didn't get anything. And this is a very long message, y'all, like very long email. And they said, no, I didn't get anything. And it was so strange. And I thought, okay, well, hey, we can talk about it real quick. And the whole time God was saying, this was not about this person getting your message. This was about your trust. God knows our playbook. He knows that I needed to trust him. And it had nothing to do with the email. It had to do with my trust. Now, in what area of your life do you need to strive to trust God more in the waiting and in the stillness? Where? The possibility of a new job, leaving a job, starting a job, a relationship, a desire for something, a desire to start something, your health. Where do you need to trust him in the waiting and in the stillness? It doesn't mean you will be uncomfortable. Through all these stories I just shared, I was uncomfortable. I was uncomfortable. In January, I spent all month in India. And I was flying from Mauritius to India. So I was in Mauritius, Africa before India. And for India, I had to order an e-visa. I requested in plenty of time. I request this e-visa in plenty of time, but I don't have it yet. Like I don't have it yet. And my flight is leaving tomorrow. I don't have it yet. So I go to the airport. I am hoping that I'll be able to get on the plane. Somebody gave me information like, oh, you'll be able to fill out the paperwork when you get there. And I get to the airport, I'm checking in, and they said, oh, your e-visa hasn't come through. And I said, okay, what am I supposed to do? They said, well, sometimes they come in at the last minute. When did you apply for it? I said, well, 4 days ago. They said, oh, that should have been plenty of time. Or maybe it was 5 days ago. They said, oh, and you don't have it yet? I said, no. They said, well, you can go wait to the side and see if it'll come before your flight. I had about 3 hours. So y'all, I'm sitting and I am uncomfortable. I'm uncomfortable. Okay. I need to get to India. I was very uncomfortable. And the whole time I said, God, I trust you. I know there's a reason. I know there's a reason. You're protecting me from something. There's a lesson in this. There's a reason. If I don't make it on that plane, there's a reason. If I do make it, there's a reason. And I was uncomfortable. So, y'all, please don't try to convince yourself that you have to be comfortable in the waiting. You don't. God just wants our trust. He doesn't want our comfort. Trust. And so, y'all, it came time for my plane to take off. My e-visa hadn't come through. And it was uncomfortable. It was uncomfortable. It came through like 5 minutes after my flight left. And so I was grateful that it came through. I was grateful I was able to go recheck into the hotel. And I was trusting while I was waiting. Where do you need to trust while you are waiting? Also, if you are someone like I have been and you create stories in your mind, you create narratives in your mind, here's something I want you to consider. So as you're waiting for something, as you are possibly even assuming something, that thought that you have, ask yourself, is this thought based on current truth and facts? Not previous thoughts and facts. Is this current thought based on truth and facts, or is this thought based in worry? Is it based in fear? Is it based on my desire to be in control? Be careful of the narrative and story that you create, because those narratives and stories in our mind can manifest into something really, really, really big. I have been on the other side of that. I've been on the other side of stories being created in minds and people bringing it to me. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Why didn't you bring that to me? And I have created stories in my mind that caused me to be so worried and so uneasy. So here's what you do. God, is this thought and this story and this narrative from you? And the practical question of, is this thought and narrative based on current facts? What is it that I know? I know that I'm waiting for this information. I'm waiting for this news. Some people are waiting to be married. And God, I know you said I'm going to be married. Where are they? Trust God in the waiting. Trust God in the stillness. And remember, you can be uncomfortable and trust God at the same time. You can say, God, I don't like this, and I'm striving to trust you. Because on the other side of that growth, on the other side of that trust, is something better than you could ever imagine. Your affirmation for the week. God, I trust you in the waiting, and I trust you in the stillness. God, I trust you in the waiting, and I trust you in the stillness.
Be sure to subscribe. And if you enjoyed this episode, please share it with your friends and family. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time. Deuces.